going to give the devil his due here. We want war with China because they're a possible competitor.
Well, they just did the big, beautiful bill. That just got through Congress. They're cutting the corporate tax rate again, extending the corporate tax cut, and to pay for it, they're cutting Medicaid by $900 billion, which I think is like great politics. You know, taking away healthcare to pay for corporate tax cuts is a real winner.
That's funny, yeah.
Well, and it's like, this is just...
All right, guys, in this video, Sam Hyde and Nick Fuentes roast the living bejesus out of Trump, guys. This is a really honest conversation. It looked really cool. Honestly, I really like the set that Sam Hyde is having. And I hope to God that his show goes and grows and he's not captured by these random Democratic conglomerates, even right-wing conglomerates. Hopefully nobody captures him. Really good conversation here. Nick Fuentes is the truth sayer. We really love him. Sam Hyde, we can side in with him. He seems like a good person. I don't know if he's a Jew or not, but he seems like a great person to talk to. But I don't know if he's a Jew. I wanted to make that point because I don't know if he's like, you know, a Jew that is kind of anti-Israel, but I know he has anti-Israeli sentiments, and it's kind of nice to have these people talk about Trump, you know, candidly without any suppression. It's really refreshing to see this.
It's so classic. Every year, people vote for fewer immigrants. People vote because we hate seeing like Venezuelans peddling candy bars on the street. And every year we just get tax cuts, get a corporate tax cut and like $1 trillion defense budget and more wars for Israel. So that's basically what was in the bill. And
that's true. A lot of my friends who are Republican right now, their biggest upset is that Trump was not better on immigration than what he promised, which is kind of weird because he was very successful when it comes to the southern border. And I don't think that's your number one issue in the world, is that immigrants are coming to destroy your life. I think without immigrants, your life is destroyed. I think this two-party conglomerate completely destroyed the American sphere, like working life sphere and working class sphere. And this idea that immigrants, if we can just get rid of them or stop it from coming, that our life becomes better, it feels like an obfuscation of the true issues. We have infrastructure that's being destroyed. We have wages that are stagnant, not going up. We have, you know, bad jobs, no good jobs available anymore. All the really good jobs have been taken by AI or have figured out a way that only one person is needed instead of the 20 other people that were needed. So all these jobs disappeared. And that the economy and the industry is down. I think those are the real concerns. It's not the immigration is gonna do anything. I think even with the rampant immigration we have better wages, we have more economy, like stronger manufacturing in the state and stronger economy than we would be able to take in all these immigrants. The problem is not immigration, it's the actual policies, the governing policies of the actual land. And because we're captured by two-party system for the past, you know, 50 years basically, we've seen just our life just getting desperately worse and worse.
Well, here's the best part. They allocated $150 billion for ICE and deportations and for the border. And then the same day that the bill passed, Trump got into a rally and said, we're not going to do mass deportations anymore. So,
beautiful.
Well, what's the money for then? And then they told us the week later, the deportations are now for citizens that criticize Israel. That's the new memo from the DOJ. They're going to revoke citizenship of people that criticize Israel and then deport them to Libya and Africa.
I remember when they were deporting people for being pro-Palestine, people on, was it student visas?
Yep.
So people who were, listen, we don't want Arabs in this country, but they were in this country legally here to study, and they were being deported because they were critical of Israel.
They just candidly say we don't want Arabs.
And I saw a lot of people on the right sort of cheering that. Like, they didn't understand why that might be a bad thing. So what, they're gonna deport who now?
Citizens. They're revoking the citizenship.
How does that work? What does that mean?
So if you're a naturalized citizen, meaning you attain it after you were born in another country, you come here, get your citizenship, they say the top 5 priorities of the DOJ this year will be revoking naturalized citizenship from anybody that is a threat to Israel or criticizes Israel.
Holy shit.
That's the new move.
Do you think that Rosie O'Donnell's a test run for a straight up citizen? She was born in America.
She was.
And Trump was saying that, like, it's probably like the test subject. If everybody hates Rosie, so we're gonna deport her, and then everybody's gonna be like, yeah. And then now you've opened that door to make that possible, and then then we're gone.
Did they deport Rosie?
Not yet.
He said we should look into it. He said we're going to look into it very strongly. You know, it's kind of funny because people are voting for tyranny. You know, people are voting for like mass deportations, going door to door, arresting people, going after the media. But we're just getting like Jewish tyranny. We're getting that, but like for Israel. We're like deporting people that criticize Israel, going to war for Israel, deporting people that hate Israel, shutting down Harvard because they hate Israel. And it's like, we just kind of got the wrong flavor. So it's like right idea, just directionally not pointed at the right thing here.
They got to know what they're doing, though, because they're attracting all that attention to, this anti-Israel hate. They've got to understand that it's going to come full circle, and people are going to be like, wait a minute, maybe not liking Israel is super justified, right? Like, that's going to bite them in the butt.
It's not going to bite them in the butt. It's never going to bite them in the butt. They'll just create a false flag attack that force you to believe everything they say, kind of like what they did with 9/11, like what they've done every single time, like October 7. It doesn't matter. They'll just create another false flag attack, and then public sentiment comes right back in their favor.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're just going to kill us all.
That's why Nick Fuentes says they're going to just end our lives, and why Alex Jones keeps saying it's going to be a lot of damage. He's really worried something bad's going to happen. And he keeps labeling it like it's going to come from the black community because it's true. That's the only way for them to really get back the public sentiment is they hurt the American people and they lie and say maybe Iran did it or something.
I'm
Okay, interesting.
Peter Thiel has like an enemies list of like 2 million people in Palantir.
Yeah.
And Palantir came in on the heels of Doge. Elon Musk brought Doge in to every department, to the IRS, the Treasury Department, education, the rest of it. And everyone that worked in Doge had also worked for Palantir. And so when Doge left, the Palantir people stayed. And what they're doing now is they're creating a master database that has your education records, health records, tax records, the Treasury Department's records. Wow. And they're going to be in one giant searchable database for this administration with a $150 billion budget for ICE that wants to take citizenship from people that criticize Israel. And that's what people voted for when they voted for Trump.
What is Palantir? Wow. Can you explain?
Is that what the deportations are? It's just a way for Israel to re-administer control?
What this is a little bit?
Over the U.S. politics?
Palantir is a CIA cutout. So in 2001, after 9/11, they created this it's basically artificial intelligence or an algorithm to interpret these vast amounts of data. The intelligence community takes all this massive amounts of data, emails, phone calls, text messages. Palantir interprets all of it into insights that are usable by law enforcement. And so in 2001, after 9/11, they took what was a CIA program and they just effectively privatized it to bypass the Constitution. You know, Constitution protects people's privacy, but a private company doesn't have to play by the same rules.
Wow. So 2001, you're saying that the CIA was spying on people and collecting all this data.
Now, isn't that exactly what Doge was? Doge was a non-governmental agency, literally in order to bypass these governmental protections.
And then to get around...
Put on organizations that work within the government because you need to protect the data inside the government.
Public oversight, they sort of transferred this into a private company?
Right. So Palantir is a firm that creates usable insights based on vast amounts of data. It's a private entity to circumvent the Constitution. They're founded in 2001. Until 2008, they only worked for the CIA. And the CIA actually provided startup money through their venture capital arm, In-Q-Tel. So they provided all the money for it, and they created all the products. So Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, Joe Lonsdale, they were at Langley, Virginia at the CIA headquarters making everything for the CIA as a so-called contractor. And then after that, they branched out into everything. So they identified the Capitol rioters on January 6th. They were identifying who wasn't vaccinated in 2021.
What were they doing with people that weren't vaccinated?
Just to identify contact tracing who had COVID and who was spreading it to everybody using Bluetooth, and then identifying then who wasn't vaccinated for the purpose of these vaccine passports. You know, in states like New York or in New York City, they wouldn't let people into restaurants if they didn't have the vaccine. So this was going to be like, they wanted to identify everybody that didn't have the card.
Yeah.
Using Bluetooth, you said?
That's for identifying who has COVID.
Interesting.
Because if you got COVID and you tested positive, they would look at your phone, and your phone has Bluetooth, and they'd see all the other phones that touched it. So they can identify everybody that might have COVID. That's the contact tracing. It's basically just like what Ted Kaczynski warned about. This is the classic panopticon surveillance state. And so Palantir was founded by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel funds all the new right projects. You know, in 2022, he was the single largest individual donor in the cycle. So he put $30 million behind J.D. Vance, Blake Masters.
Why does he look greasy?
What if you can create your own website?
Gay man. I think that has a lot to do with it. So,
Is
you
there an
know.
amount? There's a certain amount of grease that comes along with the lifestyle.
Yeah,
I
a lot of
suppose.
lubricant, a lot of lubricating,
Why is
a
it
lot
all
of
over his
friction.
face when he's doing public appearances?
Peter Thiel has funded Sovereign House, Passage Press, Bronze Age Pervert, Claremont Institute, and then, of course, our vice president, J.D. Vance, was his protege for his entire career. Wow. So Vance is Peter Thiel's guy on the inside.
Where does Thiel come from? Was he around in 2001?
He was.
And
he
what was
came from
do-
PayPal.
What was he doing?
So he had just around that time created PayPal with Elon Musk.
At that point, when they're doing PayPal, is this something that's linked to intelligence yet, or is he sort of solo?
Most likely, yes.
Probably, yeah.
Because of the nature of what PayPal is, which is a peer-to-peer payment system. So it's deeply in touch with the financial industry and state regulations. The real connection to intelligence is that he comes from Stanford University. That was his origin story. He founded the Stanford Review at Stanford University with money from Irving Kristol.
What's that, like the school paper?
Yes.
Who's Irvin Kristol?
Irving Kristol's the godfather of neoconservatism. So he invented the neocons. He's a Jew, former communist who became a conservative after the Soviet Union backed Israel's enemies.
Peter Thiel, I almost said Peter Steele. He should change his name. He started the school newspaper with money from the godfather of neoconservatism?
Yes.
Okay, continue.
So he takes money from Irving Kristol to start this paper. And you have to understand that, like, where all these conservatives come from is they're effectively groomed by the CIA out of college. Every major conservative thinker, influencer, basically from
Ben Thorpe.
the 1950s on was groomed by what was called the Congress for Cultural Freedom, which is a project of the CIA.
This is the KKK.
No, I know we're talking about serious stuff, so I tried to hold it in. So this was a while ago this happened, but you said the godfather of neoconservatism. And all I could think was like, the godfather, he's going, so you're telling me you don't support Israel? That's all I could think of, and my brain just like, shut up, don't say that.
No, please interject with humor. You're saying that every major conservative figure comes from this Congress of what?
Congress for Cultural Freedom.
Congress for Cultural Freedom.
So they're all, in a word, they're all being groomed. All of these like conservative intellectuals that are writing these books, people like William F. Buckley, and many of the anti-communists are all being groomed out of college by the CIA to be a conservative counterweight to left-wing communism in America, because the CIA is deeply worried about communism spreading in the United States and elsewhere. So Peter Thiel tracks with this pattern where Irving Kristol's one of them.
So back in the 60s or 70s or whatever, they would have been doing this to combat communism.
Right.
And then at some point, something goes wrong?
I wouldn't say it went wrong. It's more like the CIA was always in bed with Israeli intelligence. So under the aegis of fighting communism, what they're really doing is combating anti-Semitism at the exact same time. So these people are being groomed by the CIA, which happens to be an institution that's totally infiltrated by Israel.
When was the CIA infiltrated by Israel?
From the very start, from its very inception. And the
Ryan, appreciate their subscription, my brother.
reason being is because the CIA was formed out of wartime intelligence during World War II. Obviously, we needed intelligence about the Axis, the Nazis, the Italians.
Sure.
And so when the Allies invaded Italy, What was coming through Italy were a lot of Jewish refugees fleeing the Holocaust, fleeing the persecution by the Germans. And so how did the Allies get intelligence about the Germans? We talked to the Jews that were fleeing Germany. And so our entire intelligence network from Germany, and even from Russia for that matter, from Poland, all these Jews that were fleeing these countries came from Jewish refugees, essentially. So when the CIA was founded, it was basically made up. All the human sources were Jewish refugees leaving Italy and then going to Israel. And then the next big step is that we were, of course, fighting the Soviet Union. When the Cold War starts in the 1950s, we have to know everything about the Soviet Union, but we know nothing because an iron curtain has descended. We have no sources that are on the inside. We have no idea what's going on. But there are some people leaving the Soviet Union, and it's Jews that are leaving the Soviet Union to go to Israel. So we say, how do we know the secrets about the Soviet Union? Let's interview the Soviet Jews that flee to Israel.
Wow.
In order to get access to those people, we have to make a deal with Israel. And we effectively say, well, we will help your fledgling state if you give us information about the Soviet Union. And so basically a deal was made. This is how they got their nuclear program. This is what was revealed in the JFK files earlier in the year. That James Angleton, who was running the Israel desk in the 50s and 60s and 70s, he, under the table, was providing Israel with nuclear secrets to get access to their Soviet emigres so we could learn more about the Soviet Union.
Now, you said James Angleton. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine if you showed that guy the future? Hey, James, I want to show you something real quick. It's a glimpse into the future. This is what you did? That's really funny. Okay, so CIA formation. They're infiltrated from the very beginning because they wanted access to Russian emigres. The Congress for Confederate?
Cultural freedom.
Cultural freedom. Okay, so tell me about this, the CCF, we'll call it, because I forgot what it was.
So the CIA starts to basically support a lot of conservative radio, publications, intellectuals.
Now we know why they have to silence Nick Fuentes. Look how much he knows about the history of the CIA. Almost proving that he is a CIA agent himself. But I digress. I don't believe he's fed. I mean, the way they attack him, it doesn't seem like he's actually compromised.
Because these guys are all making the case that the Soviet Union is evil.
It sounds like PragerU.
Thomas, thanks for
That's what it is. Yeah, it is PragerU. It's like proto-PragerU. And so basically all of the famous anti-communist conservatives of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, maybe the most prominent being William F. Buckley, they were being funded under the table by the CIA. Their papers, radio, TV, their scholarships, they were all funded through what were called cutouts, NGOs, various projects, one of them being the Congress for Cultural Freedom. And that's because the CIA wanted to create in Europe and in the United States this intellectual case against communism. Then you fast forward to the 80s, and Irving Kristol, the godfather of neoconservatism, he's one of these guys, by the way, who's getting money from the CIA. He starts up a group with a number of other Jews, and they start seeding money for student newspapers at all the top schools.
Damn.
Stanford, Dartmouth, UChicago. And some of the most famous conservatives today got that money, and that is how they got their start. They started these student newspapers, they start writing for them, and then they climb up the ladder doing commentary, doing broadcasting, and now these are like the biggest hosts at Fox News. Like one of the ones, for example, was Dinesh D'Souza.
Just to interrupt you here, usually when someone interrupts, they're like, just to something good. I'm like, just to interrupt you here. This does sound like a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of want to just go start up some student
It's like
newspapers.
spy fiction. It's cool.
I think it might be able to monetize this at some point. We should start student newspapers. How much does it even cost? Also, they're good at getting like a bang for their buck, with like local. Like they realized you need like Soros, you fund like the local guys. You just get more. Like what does it cost? Like $2,500 to turn some neighbor.
Soros, by the way, self-admitted Nazi.
Into a shit show. How much does this
adopted by a Nazi soldier? He said himself he went on Nazi raid.
Student newspaper? It's like $375.
That could be our next big endeavor. That is pretty.
Yeah.
Fun.
So look, these guys. So the guys that got their start up the commentary public figure speaker ladder with the student newspaper track, like at what point are they compromised in the sense that they're subsuming their values and their journalistic integrity to whatever?
Is he asking when did Destiny get compromised?
Is that what it is?
They're convinced that
I'll tell you when we knew that Destiny was compromised, when he started sharing his wife.
working for the CIA or intelligence is patriotic. I think that they're convinced that they're with the so-called good guys, the good faction inside intelligence that is sort of, ideologically aligned with us. To tell you the truth, a lot of them are marginal types from the beginning.
Yep, gays.
Somebody like Peter Thiel.
What do you mean marginal?
So he's a gay man.
Yeah.
Gay people are typically marginal, or a lot of them are Jewish. Jewish people are marginal also.
When you say marginal, you mean not like core person type? They're like
Right.
on the fringes?
Not a religious
Absolutely.
person.
Okay, so they're like an outsider. They're more willing to listen to accept like weird kind of ideas. Is that what you mean?
Yep.
Well, weird ideas,
Not
and
religious.
they might be able to be compromised in some ways, specifically like gay people. There's a huge vulnerability. I mean, like there's a big reason Jeffrey Epstein trafficked in pedophilia. There's a big reason why a lot of these public figures, I don't think it's a coincidence, get outed for pedophilia. I
So
think
when you say marginal, you mean there's something about them that's exploitable.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it could be an ethnic affinity, it could be a sexual eccentricity, which could be used for blackmail purposes. There's a lot of different vectors, I think, but it's almost never just like normal people.
It's never just the guy that likes peanut M&Ms. Know what I mean?
It's an M&M minis guy. Needs the
It's
tube.
these fucking M&M minis guys.
Needs the tube a specific color. He's like, you got the yellow tube? And he won't buy them unless it's the yellow tube.
Strangely fits. Anyway, sorry, continue.
That does seem like a
So, I don't-
marginalized fucking person.
I don't know the psychological profile necessarily, but needless to say, they start getting this buy-in. They receive the money, they receive the career advancement, doors open up for that person. Maybe somewhere along the way they
Girls.
understand what's happening, but they rationalize it. I've heard many different stories about how it works, but it always starts at the college level,
I'm surprised how much he knows.
which sort of makes sense. Because if you think about Harvard, Stanford, Yale, they are selecting for the highest IQ people, and the government wants the highest IQ people because intelligence, it's sort of in the name also. These intelligence networks, they need to be the most technically sophisticated, operationally sophisticated. So they go, where are the smart people? They're at the elite universities. And so, you might think it's sort of like, when you look at Turning Point USA or, college Republicans, you might think that's kind of nothing. It's peanuts. It's dorky. It's silly. But these 18-year-old people, these 18-year-old, 19-year-old young guys who are ideologically conservative, these are the future leaders. These are the 130, 150 IQ guys that are going to be fighting the Chinese and fighting the Iranians and fighting Russian intelligence. So that's where they go for them. And it's also when they're impressionable. It's also when they're malleable. So I never understood the significance of education until I thought of these institutions as elite-making institutions. Harvard graduates the elites of the world. Yale graduates the elites of the world. So the intelligence networks want to get their pincers in those people when they're young. And then, so a guy like Irving Kristol puts together this money with these other guys from the CIA, and they seed the money for conservative student newspapers. And, these 19-year-old kids, they think it's funny. A guy like Stephen Miller, that's how he got his start. He was writing letters to David Horowitz, who's a talk radio host, and he was a student newspaper guy doing polemical stuff, shitting on Mexicans and black people and Palestinians and the rest of it.
I was just thinking about David Portnoy. But sorry, go ahead.
Pizza reviews they should get into.
Yeah.
And so that's how they get groomed. And then, they go from a student newspaper to a local newspaper to Fox News, and then they're a household name. Then they're the big Fox News name.
Was your point of contact, like you're sort of like the vampire that changes you, was that Cassie Dillon?
Yes.
That's literally she converted to Judaism afterwards.
I looked
did.
her up, by the way. She's ugly.
Is she ugly?
Yes.
She's not hot,
You could pull up a picture.
which made me upset.
Sure.
Who said the thing about the price of a man's soul being so low? It's like, it's not that everybody has a price, it's that most people's price is so low.
Ouch. Yeah.
It's also the case that the bitches they hook these guys up with are butt ugly.
That's the price.
Yeah, that's the prize. That's what they get, but they're not hot.
It is sad.
Is she genetically Jewish?
No, she converted.
Why is her face all fucked up then? Converted from what? Ugly bitch? If a beat bitch came to me and texted me saying you got to change your opinions, I'd say, bitch, get surgery. Now, Cassie Dillon, she might have great. Is that her appeal? I don't know how this stuff works. Is it just that the so good it offsets the ugliness? Anyway, I don't know. Listen, I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers here. I just know this bitch is beat.
That's her.
She's good looking.
Yeah. She's cute.
Guys, one more subscriber so we can get to 1,400. Come on, let's get to 1,400, guys. Come on.
When she was younger.
Bitch.
Yeah, look at her there.
Some genetic.
She looks shrill and she looks like she's ready to terrorize a man.
Wrong star on the sweatshirt there.
When you were coming up, you had hot opinions and people were looking at you and saying, this kid's hot. And you get paired up with this chick to sort of show you the ropes and kind of introduce you to the world of whatever the fuck leads to being on Fox News, whatever. And you start questioning basically Jewish stuff, and she starts texting you stuff. You can't talk about this. We're gonna excise you from the friend group. These types of like texts to let you know that you're on dangerous ground.
Yeah. I think she tried to fuck me too. I think it was like a honeypot situation. The first thing she asked me when I met her is if I would ever fly to Israel. That was her. It was could not be less subtle.
Yeah, fly to Israel to fuck. That's the one key weakness. They got to get better looking bitches.
Better
over
looking
here.
ingredients.
Better pizza. Papa John's.
She really fumbled the ball hard.
Oh, yeah.
She came out the gates, you want to go to Israel, came on real strong, and then she has to report back to whoever and be like, I think I accidentally created Nick Fuentes. Oops.
She was so ugly, she created Nick Fuentes.
Was she the only one? Did they send more? Did they? Let's try this one.
I think there were more after, but it was mainly, she was the main one. And yeah, I mean, honestly.
And that's why he mentioned the Fox News conglomeration and like kind of path, because Cassie Dillon's already a reporter here in Fox News. Cassie Dillon's a reporter for Digital Origins. She joined in January 2023. Specializes in multimedia reporting and video journalism, covering a wide variety of top politics, policy, and foreign affairs. So she's definitely intertwined. Before joining, Cassie was a U.S. news editor for Jewish News Syndicate. So she's definitely connected with with Israel. Cassie was also director of digital engagement for Ambassador Nikki Haley Stand for America. Cassie was a staff writer and on-camera talent for the Daily Wire, where she produced documentaries about Russia's invasion of Ukraine, homelessness, feminism, and immigration. So she's a feminist. She supported the war against Ukraine or against Russia. And she's extremely linked with, Jewish supporting senator, Jewish news syndicates, Jewish organizations and media conglomerates. Not only that, and feminism. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Honestly, it was actually that simple. She just wasn't that hot.
It's like Charlie's Angels. If they don't get you with that one, they send a black one, then they send a Chinese one. They send a bunch of different flavors to see if they can get you.
They send Charlie in?
Well, it's Epstein is the guy.
Right.
And then the last one is they get you on the plane with the kids.
And then they become the agents. Peter Thiel, for example, he starts the Stanford Review at Stanford. And if you look, it's crazy. Stanford Review is like a who's who of defense contractors, which you wouldn't think. It's supposed to be like a polemical, conservative college newspaper, but it's a who's who of drone developers, like all these people that are making weapons for the Department of Defense, like Joe Lonsdale, who then went on to work with Peter Thiel. And so Peter Thiel, he writes this book about the diversity myth in 1995. He writes a number of other publications, and then he goes on to work for the CIA full-time doing Palantir. Then he goes into a full-time intelligence defense contractor position. And now they're collecting all the data on people that criticize Israel for the government.
That Alex Karp guy, he said that his greatest fear is that the alt-right, his greatest fear is the alt-right. That's not good.
Yeah, and specifically, he said his greatest fear is that Christian nationalists will take power and then throw him out of a window, specifically for being Jewish.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's our guy.
What do you think about these Indians?
I mean, yeah, very good conversation, in my opinion. I think you guys can dive in and look into the rest of it. But I just wanted to showcase, guys, the part where they discussed heavily and deeply these connections between Palantir, Elon Musk, and the government, and how the CIA and the intelligence organizations kind of recruit people and even try to recruit Nick. A great conversation, in my opinion. I think I got one of their best parts. I'm sure there was maybe another part where they talk about Trump's accomplishments. I'll try to find you guys that. But besides that, I think this is a great value-filled conversation. Sam Hyde, really appreciate you for doing this. Hope you do more. Seems like a great talk show host and a great show, to be honest. It's a nice-looking podcast. You got a couple of cool-looking dudes. I mean, it could be a hit for sure. Interested in your opinions, guys. What do you think about this? Do you agree with Nick? Were they after Nick? Are they after random people? Are there feds online? Is it hard to believe that there are feds online trying to catch me, trying to catch you, trying to get you as a conservative away from your conservative voices, or trying to embarrass you? Is that a difficult thing to say? Is it possible that Ben Thorpe and Grace Thorpe are federal agents and federal operations that are there literally with the way they do content? They literally are created just to destroy people's lives and try to create allegations and defamation against them. Is it possible that the feds are all over the internet and they're always trying to persuade us with $2 donations like I used to get here? I had to ban that dude. Yeah, interested in your opinions, guys.